So what is care ownership?
Yes. What CareOwnership does is we renovate blighted properties and mentor low-income people in real estate and financial management skills.
CareOwnership is a unique program that helps people to learn about new ways of thinking about their finances, that gives them an opportunity to develop resources. It's getting an opportunity to build a relationship in a way that'll support a change and for permanent financial stability. And we'd like to think about it as you can teach somebody to fish, you can give them the fishing rod, but if you don't give them the ability to actually find a place to use those skill sets, how do they go about and make that permanent change in their life? So we really try to come alongside individuals, help them to learn new skill sets, to learn a new way of looking at their world, and then giving them the resources and the opportunity so that they actually can build wealth, empower themselves financially, help their community, just become a stakeholder.
CareOwnership is a not-for-profit organization which seeks to improve neighborhoods by both removing blighted properties, installing and developing resident landlords, owner-occupied landlords, and finally it's creating a warehouse for the distribution of physical goods for not-for-profit rehabilitation.
The properties that we renovate are renovated with 1 or 2 income-producing rental units in the property. So we take a blighted property and add maybe 1 or 2 units into the property so that the individual can live in the home, become a homeowner, and then also have an income-producing, 1 or 2 income-producing rental units that will also provide some cash flow for the individual and his or her family.
Our participants in our landlord training program actually move into a property that we've renovated, and they live there and have the opportunity to learn to manage the property in conjunction with our staff. So somebody that's in the first stage would initially learn all the business skills about paperwork and contracts. As they move forward into additional stages, they will actually learn about collecting the rent and the legal regulations and how to manage contractors, how to work with banks. They'll learn about all the laws, all the financial accounting. So basically, after the end of the training period, which is a minimum of 3 years, they will basically know everything they need to know to be a successful landlord and the future owner of that property.
Well, I think CareOwnership can benefit communities through creation of an economic institution, that is an apartment house with a landlord that is trained and developed to maintain the property and trained and developed to manage the inevitable human relationships associated with being in a community.
What other services does CareOwnership offer?
We try to be a total holistic neighbor. So in addition to the renovations for the property that we're owning and we're training the individual to be the future landlord of, we also share donated building materials that we receive. And we distribute that out to low-income homeowners, senior citizens who are trying to stay in their home, to other nonprofit groups. We also run community training programs where we invite residents of the community to come and learn financial empowerment. We start with principles of budgeting and net worth analysis, debt recovery, and learning how to really have a positive and future forward-looking attitude towards money. A lot of times people have given up hope. They feel that they can't really get ahead. And so what we're trying to do is restore the hope by providing greater amounts of knowledge and the support. So they're going to really come out of the classes or come out of the training knowing, yes, they can do this. Yes, they can change their circumstances. Yes, they can succeed and move into the middle class, make their lives better for their families, really have control over their financial future.
How does CareOwnership help the apprentice?
Well, I think the person who would best be able to speak to how they're being helped is the apprentice themselves.
My name is David Daly, and I've been in Pittsburgh most of my adult life since about 13, still in the north side area. And my family life just consists of my wife and my children. What's excited me the most about the project so far is the thought that in completion of this project, I could be in a position to better take care of my family. I can set myself up to join a middle class, instead of just being low income. And then these are skills that I can teach my sons. So what you end up doing is just changing the culture of your whole family line. Whereas before, the next generation, was being left bills. Now you're being left assets. Anyone that's thinking about helping in any type of way, whether it be through volunteer work or donations, what I would say is important is that you understand the cause. So much of what people do, they do because they don't know that they have options. They think that they don't. And so if you can teach someone that they have options, as they say, not just lead them to water and feed them some fish, but teach them how to fish so that they can feed their family. Well, then you're doing something, that's biblical.
How does care ownership affect the community?
Pittsburgh does have a problem with aging housing stock, abandoned houses. So we contribute to the community by identifying these properties and renovating these properties and taking what was perhaps an eyesore or a haven for criminal activity, perhaps an old abandoned property, and then turning it into a newly renovated property that is going to provide housing for the person who's receiving our financial and landlord training, and then also provide some affordable housing in the form of the rental units that are in the house that we're renting.
So the neighborhood, the community, and the neighbors get a person who lives here, who cares about it, who's available. If the tenants have a problem, they can go to the landlord. He or she is right downstairs in the property. If the community has an issue with how the property is taken care of, they're able to go and talk to the future owner. You don't have somebody that's out of state, that is unreachable, or that's looking at this only as a business. Well, we've really tested a lot of our principles, our procedures, and we're ready to launch into a much bigger situation. So we're interviewing neighborhoods, we're going to funders, we're developing a 5 and 15-year business strategy, and we're looking in the next 5 years to really launch 10 properties and 10 individuals. One of the things we've realized is that there's a lot of mutual learning that goes on. Our volunteers and our participants, the people that are being trained, may have differences in perspectives, difference in histories, in economic conditions, in backgrounds. And we tend as a society to just sort of ignore those differences. This is an opportunity for bridging economic segregation and the gaps between different segments of our society. Let's band together in unity, and let's have individuals that have resources reach out and support those that are trying to improve and trying to stabilize, so that we as a community and as a city, we can all benefit.
Will you join us in helping to empower Pittsburgh's communities? Train to be a mentor, join our board of directors, volunteer in one of our renovations. Come on board, help us to empower Pittsburgh.